Take off my jacket for this one.
All right.
Oh, dude, this
It's watch time. This off season was wild.
Intense.
How's the audio balance? Everything fine?
Yep. So.
Fred getting one in the back. Paul gets a double, and Pittsburgh Knights in a great position to end.
Paul with the transformation. The Pittsburgh Knights are going back to back.
That is it. Pittsburgh Knights, lightning strikes twice.
Oh, this is cool.
And ghosts are going home.
This is sick.
So going into the offseason,
They got fuck all to talk about.
I think it's fair to say I'm bitter from the past two worlds, or I just wanted, I don't think I was alone on this, but I just wanted to make changes in general.
Part of the reason is I think Ben kind of wanted to play jungle again, but we also just wanted to make a change for ourselves because, back-to-back second places, obviously very good, and we also won every other tournament during the year, the playoffs, and we placed first and everything like that, but we know that the ultimate goal is to win the world championship. So getting second place back-to-back years, we kind of thought, maybe making
something looks different about Fino.
To just be a little bit more consistent would be really good.
Looks handsome.
I don't
as
think
always,
that it's fair to say that our problems were pinpointed on Ben, for example, or Twig.
The hair.
But I do think a change was good, and it felt like among us that mid laners seemed to be the consensus of having the most players who we'd be interested in playing with.
I kind of knew my time had come on the Jade Dragons or
Ghost
an
imposter
at the time. So I was just looking for people that I knew had a winning potential. And the first people I thought of was Variety and Big Man Tings when I knew that he was an available mid laner. Because playing mid against Big Man, I thought he was better than Paul. I thought he was better than Dardez. I thought he was better than basically the entire league.
I started speaking to Biggie a little bit, trying to see what was going on with him. And he basically said that it's going to be him and Big Man trying to make a team, and that they wanted Twig, jungle, and genetics. And obviously, I think at that time, Netroid just got kicked as well from Leviathans, and he also messaged Biggie asking to help him and make a team. So Biggie basically asked me to join the team, and when I seen the roster and I see Big Man and Netroid on the team, they're hard carries and they're really good players. I think that they will be a big reason why we're going to win a lot this year.
Kings was actually one of the first rosters formed. This was the first ever, though.
Keep playing with Netroid anymore.
Strangely enough.
I mean, we think that he's a great player when he wants to, but most of the time he didn't want to. So
attitude problems.
Rather try with someone that have that hunger to grin and climb the game, and that guy is Julio. And the guy decided that I can play any role, so I will be playing ADC for them. So
it wasn't wrong
with that, and they were fine with that too. So it was it was a team decision.
It didn't take long after Thor's hammer was raised for new teams to start forming. The Jade Dragons leave behind Captain Twig in order to pick up Heroine. Twig reunites with an old teammate in Variety and forms the Camelot Kings. And the Atlantis Leviathans drop Netroid to pick up Julio. But not every roster had it so easy.
The Kings did change
Two
at one
players
point
who
as
spent
well.
the vast majority of last year making life difficult for other duo lanes now started making life difficult for every roster.
Barry?
Basically, from the outside in, it looks like we just stuck with
bit.
the old Renegades roster and then picked up Haddix. Or Harry left, picked up Haddix. But there was a lot more going on.
This is fun.
On Sunday, we were told that we were staying together. And I think that was a Sunday after Worlds. And then Monday night, Jake calls me on Discord and says something along the lines of I've been getting some offers, or what do you think I should do? And I told Jake that he should do whatever's best for him.
The team wanted to stick together, and they were like, let's just lock it up, get some of that roster. Get over and done with. And I was like, I think I had a pretty good year. Maybe I'll, go see what's out there. Try to, get on a really good team or something. We went out to dinner and I was like, hey man, 100%, or if I was like, are you on this team 100%? I was like, yeah. And, 100% isn't really ever 100%, Like,
me and Daughters reached out. I DM'd Neil, he DM'd Fred, because that was our first choice. We were like, what's the best combination we could get with us? We decided it was those two. We were just thinking about other options. It was maybe asking Jake. Jake was someone we viewed as really good.
And they were like, hey, Jake, we're pretty set in stone here. Why don't we just get this 4-man going? And I was like, hey, you know what? All right.
Neil and Fred are like, yeah, we'll run it back. We want to run it back for round 3. So then it's like, okay, it's all done. We've already spoke to Jake and Scream.
I got Jake and Scream, yeah.
We're all on board with it.
I remember this being a thing. I was like, oh, this is a good roster. I don't know how that's going to go.
I got offered the PK
that was going to be a
spot.
terrible Scrim team.
We didn't want to be playing with the same ADC. Going to next season, we were looking for replacements, essentially.
Neil snaked
and we
everyone.
had asked Netrioid.
Fraud man.
I remember he was saying he was worried about getting a spot at all in the league. And so when we approached him asking him if he would want to play with us, he had already committed to the Kings roster, actually. And so the last...
This is kind of funny because Netrioid turned down the Knights for the Kings, and the Kings kicked him for a vote for a bit, and then they got him back.
ADC
which is pretty
that
funny.
Would be comfortable with playing that wasn't already locked up or anything would be Barra. I thought he was a good
little bit criminal
middle ground, I guess, between Zap and Metroid, where he still had veteranship. He would bring new ideas into the team.
That part wasn't mentioned? Oh.
As well.
Well,
and he had obviously performed really well throughout the whole year, in my opinion, but more so Sean towards the end of the split, especially in playoffs and in the World Championship for that team.
And I told my team about it, and I said I was going to consider it because I honestly did not think I was going to get an offer like this, and I think it would be crazy if I didn't at least consider it for 24 hours.
I remember this. Everyone was like, okay, so Barra's got the offer, and everyone was like, okay, so we think this team's going to happen. And there was like a day where everyone thought this team was going to happen. But then it didn't. We'll see. Please put Cam at top.
I told my teammates that I would want to think it over. Kind of scummy by me because I did say on Sunday that we would be sticking together, but I also didn't think the 2-time world champions were offering me a spot. So, yeah. And then on Wednesday, I turned down the spot. I decided to stick with the boys. I felt like it was the right thing to do for me. And I thought about it a lot, obviously. I was really nervous about it the whole time. And I just made a decision to stay with the team. And that was when they told me that they had picked Netroid anyways, and I was like, oh, let's go. Because if I had told my team that I want to join them, it makes me look really bad and kind of just throws a wrench in everything. So I was happy that I made the good decision. And then so when I got the call with all the boys, that was when Jake had told us that he had left us to join Old SSG, Nika, Dardes, and Vote.
Okay, so 10 minutes before Barra said no, Nika asked me to join the team, and I was like, yeah. And then 10 minutes later, Barra said no, and then they called me, and they were like, hey man, when the team's back together, let's go, let's get it this year. And I was like, hey, hope you guys don't hate me, but I kind of said yes to Vote's team.
So I was kind of in a weird spot. Then I was a little confused, and then that's when PK got back to me and said Netroid had joined the Camelot Kings, and they were re-offering me the spot. So now we are in a spot where I'm re-offered the 2-time world champions, and Jake's no longer on the roster. And obviously, me and Jake, I think we were one of the best duo lanes last year. I think me and him have really good synergy, and I think we just played really well together.
It's one thing that nobody really likes being a second choice, though. I guess I reckon if PK had never told Barra that he was second choice, I don't know if all of this would have happened.
And he was one of the main reasons that I was going to stay, and that's no longer an option now.
And so we thought Barra was going to be a great fit. And I remember he had to decide
Barra is
between
weird, yeah.
his roster and our roster. And I remember thinking, like, in the back of my head that it was going to be, like, in my opinion, I was like, this is kind of like a bit of a lock.
It's an easy choice, right?
For sure, but I was just very hopeful as well. it being our last option that we were all satisfied with, at least that wasn't some sort of reach.
What we had decided on was getting Zap jungle, and we were going to get last support.
The Zungle!
Wait, that was actually happening?
Yes, really. Zungle and Laporte. It looked like Rosterpocalypse should wrap up pretty cleanly from here. Barra to PK.
I remember
Jake,
like hearing about that. I was like, Barra turned down the 2-time for the Zungle and the Laporte.
Was the...
Say what?
Was the final decision of us going Zap jungle and last support. And that was my offer of Zap jungle and last support versus the 2-time world champions. And in the meantime, I think there was like 4 or 5 rosters waiting on my decision.
And then I remember just before I went to bed, Scream DMs me. He's like, yeah. So Scream's other option was the Titans lineup. And then he's like, yeah, I pretty much want to play with you guys unless for some reason Barra doesn't decide to join PK and then you guys get Neil Fred. And I'm like, wait, how did you even come up with this? Like, what? It's done. Like, what are you even talking about? He's like, yeah, I'm just telling you, like, just in case. And then I wake up the next morning, I have a DM from Mick, yeah. Hypothetically, what would happen if Barrett decides to not join? And I'm like, why is everyone bringing this up now? Why is this even in the discussion?
I think me and Neil would have worked really
That was
well
Meerkat's
together.
name in Discord at the time, was any news full cap.
And
he was all over the place.
That's a head-scratching moment right there.
Barra's confused himself.
You know, it's...
How's he going to talk through it?
So
how did he
I
decide
kind of made the final decision to stay with the boys. Again, I turned down the 2-time champs 2 times. Yeah, I did that.
I thought that people would just be jumping on that opportunity, right, without hesitation. In my mind, I thought that that had enough stock in it that people almost... It seemed like it... Not to sound cliche, but like an offer like you can't really refuse, right? That was kind of how it was put in my mind. So I remember when Netrio said no, I was kind of like I respect it. That's kind of funny to me. I was like, that's kind of crazy. But like, yeah, we still have other options. And I talked to Barra. When we talked to Vote briefly, he kind of says says no. And then we talked to Barra and he says no. And the only thing like it was so
Barra was actually
ridiculous,
third choice.
I almost was like in disbelief.
Fraud man.
I was like, I actually can't believe this is happening right now. Like, how do you win Worlds twice? And then like,
no
you can't
one will
find a player
join
to
you.
play with
You can't get an ADC. They should have asked me. I would have said yeah.
And then I remember that night.
Thanks, Left.
No, then it was 2 days of waiting for Barrett to decide. It was the longest wait ever. It was the finale of Rosterpocalypse. I see I have a DM from Neil. And it just says, it seems the pieces of the puzzle have moved. And then at the same time, I got a DM from Daughters, Mick. They're like, yeah, like Barrett didn't join.
Because I had figured he was still like wanting to play with us because he had said to us before like we were their first choice.
Poor Neil, man. No cunt wants to play with him. He has to move his entire team to get an ADC.
I had a bit of a laugh, but I thought it was pretty funny.
Pick one ADC.
We flip-flopped a little bit.
None of them will team with you again. Don't fuck with ADCs, chat.
Like Fred and I weren't trying to be. What's a good word? Like we weren't trying to be conniving or anything, but we just wanted to make sure that we didn't want to close any door before we knew what we were doing exactly right, because it was a really enticing offer.
It's what we wanted. It was a roller coaster, but eventually it worked out.
I suggested this roster at some point, by the way.
Scream, I think, mainly that like his thing fell through because of that move.
If me and Ronnie weren't playing with them, they would be playing with Moswall and Scream. So I think that's what they were originally going to go with. And so they asked me who would I want for jungle. And I know Ronnie was in the same boat as me, right? We didn't have a team, and I know me and him used to mid jungle a lot in ranked, so I'm like, maybe we can see if that'll work. And then yeah, I don't know, it sounded like a good option.
Despite winning last year's MVP award in the last 2 World Championships, Neil Ma can't seem to find a duo lane partner. And with that, the team implodes. Cuvo and Neil to the war.
Wait, was there a moment when Nika was going to be on the Kings? I knew there was a moment where Vote was going to replace Netroid for like a day. And then Netroid got kicked and he was like, oh fuck. And then they were like, please come back, Netroid, when Vote was like, no, and then that was it. So what happened with Nika? And we'll talk about it after, maybe.
Years, Paul and Scary to the Tartarus Titans. But that leaves last year's Rookie of the Year without a squad.
So I messaged Nika, and he's like, hey, so it looks like PK disbanded, and we're gonna play with Neil and Kivo, which, there's nothing wrong with that. I think they're a great pair, and yeah, that seems to be really good. But then I was in a tough position because Ven and Vera and Lazara, they were scrambling. They were looking for anything. So they ended up messaging Zapman, and then like Lazar was gonna play support, and then they were gonna have the Zungle. So yeah, they were yeah, I'm sure that team would have done great, but
But
I'm sure that team would have done great.
Us had a lot of promise in last support. So at midnight, we made the final decision that was going to be our roster. So at 3 in the morning, I get a Discord call, and some people on the team were having second thoughts about Zap Jungle.
Ven and the boys were very upset with Jake and what he did. Fair. And I basically fought his case for probably 3 or 4 hours in the Discord call, and then he was on the team the next morning.
So
then we all
Hadix did
agreed
it.
I was gonna go.
Oh, so Hadix was like, fuck Zap. Fuck Zap Jungle. Give me Jake. Oh.
Jungle for them. Lasper was going support, and then the rest of the team was intact, right, with Hadix. And then it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and we were like, okay, everyone's 100%. Everyone tell everyone, no one's looking for anything. It's a done deal 100%. And then I went to bed, woke up, and they're like, we got Jake.
And then at 3 in the morning, I get the Discord call. Some people on the team didn't want Zap Jungle, and I was like, but we had already decided at midnight to go forward with Zap Jungle. I feel really bad because I'd given him my word. I'd given Zap my word that he was going to be my jungler.
I really got screwed over because I literally told Layers I was done. I told other teams I was done, and looking because I had a team. I went to bed. I even told my wife, I was like, I got my team, everything, and I woke up and they're like, oh, we got Jake. So that really rubbed me the wrong way. I basically just knew every team was done. There was only like a couple players left looking for teams. So I hit up the next guy I thought that was the best man up, which was Layers. And then we made a team, and then that was it. We submitted.
You got any extra motivation against the Bolts?
Here's the clip.
Because of that situation?
Yeah, I don't like the Bolts.
In the span of less than a week, all 8 SPL teams were formed. Off-season are normally very wild, but Season 8 took it to the next level.
What about the Valks?
The only way to determine who came out on top is on the battleground of the gods.
All right, chat. We're going to go further. Are we going to talk about the Valks? Can I just leak the Valk stuff? All right. Well, what the hell? I don't want to watch some MasterChef content. All right. I need to fix my screen, I guess. There's not that much drama with the Valks. I do this, and then maybe I do this. You can't really see the chat. Okay, so Nika, first of all, Nika was in the chat. Nika, what happened with you and the Kings? Did anything happen there? Chat's big. See, you're big now, chat. I'm sure that would have been a great roster. All right, you're big now, chat. You're almost as big as me. Hard to read, though. Me and Vote asked to join them, says Nika. So Nika tried to join, but they wanted to keep Harry. And then they dropped Netrioid for Vote. After Netrioid turned down PK for the Kings, which is so brutal by them. And Netrioid still, what a nice guy. When Vote's like, yeah, I'm out again, they kick him, they kick the Roid, and then Vote's like, actually, turns out I got Cubo and Neil, I'm back to that team. And then they're like, oh, come back. Oh yeah, Dardes. Well, yeah, also, this was missed in this as well. Dardes was offered, was talked to about the ghost spot. Dardes said he would think about it. Dardes never gave them a full answer, did he? As far as I'm aware. And then they picked up Hurry. That was pretty early decision. So I think I don't know if they asked Paul as well. I'm not sure if they asked Paul. And then Valkyries, right, let's talk about the Valkyries. The Valkyries roster was Kassir coach, and I think, was it Ocean's support? Did I make this up? Was it Ocean's support? Wowie support. It was Wowie support. Wowie support. So Wowie, it was Ocean's? It was Ocean's. Okay, that's what I thought. What the hell? Everyone's confusing me. Everyone's saying maybe it was both. But anyway, last minute, it was Wowie and Guy. Wowie support Guy JADC. And then they switched it up. And they brought Emil in. And then I think after that they brought Rafa in. So Emil was on Rival. Emil was on Old Rival. They applied for a spot. So it was Emily2, Kalas, Wolfie, Ice Ice Baby, Deathwalker. They didn't bring them in. They got told they wouldn't get a spot with Wowie support. Okay, so that team got rejected. The Old Rival got rejected. That team got rejected with Wowie support. And then they brought in Emil and Rafa as their duo, but forced by the league to do it to get the spot. Oh, wow, I didn't mean to leak that tea. That's a lot of tea. That's a lot of tea. Too much caffeine for me. That's interesting. So Old Rival got rejected, and the original Valkyries roster got rejected. And that ended up, they came together to form this team, which is interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. You're missing part of Valk still? What am I missing, Meerkat? Let's spill the final part. Oh, and Kassir got kicked for... Rafa wouldn't join. I would assume Rafa wouldn't join without Tigris. So Kassir got kicked off of his roster because of the switch up also, which is pretty tough. Yeah, Rafa wouldn't move if Tigris wasn't the coach. Forgot about that. I mean, power to Raf, right? I mean, it makes sense. He moved back home because he didn't want to... Oceans was the backup support. So there was Oceans involved at some stage. That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, I thought there was a roster accepted. No, this was the thing. There was a roster accepted with Oceans support, Kassir coach, MLADC, right? And then there was a switch up. They wanted to apply with Tigris coach, Rafa support, to switch it up, and then that was accepted as well, and then suddenly Kassir and Oceans lost their spot. I think that's the case. I think that's what happened. So yeah, that's fun. Guess I'll close out our little... That's our chat. We got SPL up in 5 minutes, so... What it was... I know everybody always thinks the Rosterpocalypse tweets and stuff are over the top, but this year was nuts. It was nuts. I'm glad it's finally out. I've only been sitting on this for 5 months. Not allowed to talk about it. Fraud Ma. I can't believe Fraud Ma did all of this. How dare he? How dare he? Yeah, I'm going to close out whatever we're doing right now, this YouTube video. I guess I'll put it up at some point, and people can, if you missed this chat, you can check it out. But for now, we're going back to the SPL. That was fun, though. I hope you all enjoyed the video as much as I did. Like video, subscribe, all that fucking YouTube shit. Bye.